Hey, what's up guys? John here. I'm going to share a story I'd never shared before on this channel. I'd never told anyone about this, not even some of my friends I haven't shared this information with. But I feel like given the direction of the world and what's happening in LA and many places, that for me not to share this information is a huge disservice to you, because I've spent a fortune, an absolute fortune, in legal fees and expenses and all of this just chaos to get this information. So I'm gonna give it all to you for free. Now, I bought a property many years ago. I never talked about it on this channel. I bought this property, and there was a tenant inside of that property that basically took the former owner through hell. Like, just was suing him nonstop. This is right in LA, suing him nonstop. So much so to where the owner was on the verge of losing everything, just with legal fees and expenses. And when he sold the property, his attorney advised him that in the transfer disclosure statement, when he sells the property, that he has to disclose what that tenant has done to him and what I'm walking into with buying the property. And so for me, I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm getting an incredible deal. Like, this makes sense to deal with it. But once I bought the deal and then I actually realized how Los Angeles is structured, how it actually works, what landlords actually go through, it really painted the picture clearly of just how uneven that playing field really is. And since this was so long ago, this is before all the madness the last couple of years. But what ultimately happened, and things actually have gotten so much worse since then that you can just imagine where it's going. So what ultimately happened back then is we evicted the tenant legally. We had a full team of attorneys, evicted the tenant. It was $26,000 in just attorney fees in Los Angeles for the attorney that I hired. And he had people under him, but that was the expense. It was between $350 and $400 an hour, but the tenant drug it out for so long, and they wanted to go to a jury trial, so it was costing so much more. And then ultimately, tenant got represented completely for free. And by the way, if you hit the like button, YouTube's going to share this content, and it'll help me get some of my money back. YouTube will share it, and ad revenue. But please hit the like button. So we ended up going to court. It was $26,000, and what's nuts is I had to pay another $8,000 by the city for relocation cost. So the $8,000 plus 26, like, I'm all in almost $35,000. That's an insane amount of money. But after that verdict, I go back, I'm at the property, I'm walking the property outside, and tenant sees me, releases her dog out on me. I'll even plug the video right here. My editor is gonna remove any type of way in which someone could identify this person. But
she just stabbed me.
I didn't do anything.
She just stabbed me with.
I didn't do anything.
The clippers here.
I didn't do anything.
She just stabbed me.
I didn't do anything. You hurt yourself over there.
No, she just stabbed me.
Okay, I didn't hurt you.
Okay? See, she just stabbed me with those.
What are you doing here?
She just stabbed me. I'm the landlord, John Williams. Just got stabbed with my tenant.
That I brought you over here?
Just got stabbed by my tenant.
You can see my shoe on the ground. The dog ripped my shoe off my foot. Dog bit my groin, bit my legs. I had to literally restrain the dog by holding the dog by the back of its neck and getting the tenant to get her dog. That's what ultimately happened. The tenant then tried to attack me with garden shears, like absolutely crazy. I didn't put my hand on the tenant, nothing. All I did was film, because I was using that video as a way in which I could kind of like push the tenant back as a way of saying, you know what, you don't want to do this, you're on camera, because I'm not going to put my hands on her. And then ultimately what happened, the cops come, she ends up going to jail. Tenant ends up going to jail, 3 days. And then ultimately, nothing happens. You get a restraining order against the tenant. And what's even crazier is the tenant leaves. Tenant leaves the property. And I'll have the editor plug the video right here. You guys can see the walkthrough of this property. $40,000 in damage. $40,000 in damage to this unit. And she went as far as even like hand sewing a spider web, putting it on the wall and putting salt up and down the halls, casting spells in the unit, putting like witchcraft stuff in the cabinets, just destroying the place, absolutely destroying the place, right? I call my attorney, I'm like, look, out of pocket $26,000 on the eviction, out of pocket another $8,000 for relocation, out of pocket now $40,000 for this. You add everything up, 70, 80 grand, give or take, on the unit, everything. And he's like, well, you could pursue the tenant for the damages, but you have to prove it, even though I could prove it because I filmed the video, like the moment that she walked out of the unit. And he's like, and even if you get the judgment, your judgment's only as good as your ability to collect on it, so you might be throwing more good money after bad. Maybe just cut your losses, right? And it never, like that problem with that tenant, like it didn't just end there. It was always like more problems. The tenant would come back and try to like sue me or try to do something because of the system that's set up in Los Angeles. The system is set up that tenants get free representation. That is how it's set up. They get free representation, they get much more protection than a landlord. Landlords do not get anything for free. However, what they are getting now is more taxes. So if you're a property owner and you are dealing with Los Angeles, you have to understand, like this, they're moving forward on this, yes, on Proposition ULA, and it says, the measure would increase the city transfer tax on property sales valued at more than $5 million but less than $10 million by 4 percentage points, which would be added to the existing 0.45 transfer tax. The transfer tax would rise to 5.5% for property sales of $10 million or and above. The tax is customarily paid by the seller. Sales tax to nonprofit organizations with assets under $1 billion would be excluded from the higher transfer taxes. So the transfer tax would be 5.5% for property sales above $10 million. So if you add in realtor fees and you add in escrow fees and you start to add everything in, you might be 14, 13% transfer taxes on a $10.5 million property. So you think about it, you're going to strike a check for an extra 600 grand to the state of California for selling that property. 600 grand. So your all-in cost of sale might be $1.25 million. That's crazy. That is crazy. It's not just for houses too. It's for multifamily. It's for retail. It's for industrial. It's for all real estate valued at that price point. So between 5 and north of 10 million bucks, it's just like a tier. Now people would say, "Hey John, like come on, you're rich." If I owned a $15 or $20 million property, that's what they would say to property owners. Hey, you're rich. You can do it. Come on. You got to spread the money. You got to spread the money. You got to take care of people. Now, the reality is that these people, a lot of times they have loans, right? They have loans on the property. And the other thing is they shouldn't, because if you buy a property and you buy a property based on the location, the terms and conditions, the tax base, like you're buying everything based on this, right? That's what you're buying. For you to change the rules after someone already owns a property, that is something that is a big red flag, right? That's a huge red flag. You're going to go after these people in which they bought properties and they made investments, and because California is so poorly run, they need to start pursuing business owners, property owners. I mean, this is bad, right? This is bad. I believe that people will say, hey, 5 million, 10 million, come on, you're rich. You can afford that. If you got a $50 million building, you can afford it, right? But what people are going to realize is that business owners and entrepreneurs and landlords are going to say, look, I can't collect rent. I can't have any type of security around my asset, my building, right? I don't know what new rule or law they're going to bring next. And, it's just getting harder and harder and harder. I'm going to go somewhere where I'm treated better. Like, it's a matter of time until that happens. And as this is occurring, what is likely going to happen is you're going to start to see all these landlords start to really feel the pain as interest rates are rising and they can't refinance their buildings because the cash flow on these assets have been greatly reduced over the last couple of years, right? That's what's ultimately happening. They're going through all of this pain right now. And I personally think that people are going to say, it's fine, 5 million, 10 million, that's okay. Like, these people have money. But it's going to go from 3 million to 7 million, from 1 million to 3 million, from 800 grand to $1.1 million. And it's going to continue going down and down and down. This isn't the end. California is a poorly managed state. They don't know what, people don't realize what they're going to actually do to the people in which create the jobs, that actually take care of the, without business owners, without landlords, without people that are generating income, there will be no tax revenue. And if there's no tax revenue, it's going to be a place that offers a lot of crime and very little opportunity. And it's not going to be the place in which many people think. When they think California, they think the Santa Monica Pier and the beauty that is Malibu and West LA and all these, all the culture in East LA and all the beauty that California represented. When you take away the enterprise, when you take away the idea of being a landlord, being a property owner, you take away this, it changes the desirability, it changes tourism, it changes everything. All of which is going to be more of a reason in which they're going to be taxing and taxing more and more and more people, because there's going to be more people dependent on the system, right? So California, again, I love California. I know California better than anyone. I feel like, especially on YouTube, because a lot of people on YouTube, you know, they'll talk broadly. I was a real estate agent in Beverly Hills for over a decade. I was a landlord there. I know the legal system. I've spoken with hundreds of landlord-tenant attorneys over the years. I've done many, many, many hours of research, even just every week. Every week I'm probably doing 2-3 hours of research just on LA alone. But over the last decade or more, like, I know this market. I know it very, very well. And I'm telling you guys, there's going to be some big problems coming to LA. The way that I was treated there, like what I went through was before the madness the last couple of years, right? So you just imagine what this is actually going to look like going forward. We are going to see so many sellers that simply are going to try to fire sale their properties as this kind of continues and we start to move in this direction. I think a lot of people still don't believe it. They say, you know what, you know, it's fine, it's fine. But people don't realize until they're, you know, that landlord. There's 700 and something thousand tenants behind on rent in LA County alone. This situation is only just beginning. Mark my words, we're seeing big problems coming to LA. Things are going to get really, really bad there. And if you are an investor and you're buying property, always make sure that you have a moat of safety. What does that mean? You have cash reserves. You're always looking for things that can go wrong. You know, a smart attorney once told me, you know, when you take on a case, you want to pay more attention to the downside than the upside. What is the exposure? What is the exposure? With a place like Los Angeles, the exposure always changes. You buy a property, maybe it's a beachfront property, like, okay, the exposure could be property insurance. The exposure could be, you know, you come up with the ideas in which you could open yourself up to exposure. With this, you know, they're changing the exposure and you don't know what that exposure really is. So for that, there should be a bigger mode of safety with an investment in Los Angeles. And right now, people aren't taking into consideration any mode of safety. They were before just thinking about the inflation problem as the real problem. But that's all going to change. The entire dynamic is going to change and smart investors are prepared for it. What do you think about it? Drop below, hit the like button, subscribe here, and subscribe to my second channel. That's an interactive call-in show and a podcast. Drop your comments below. Let me know your thoughts on this. If you need help fixing your credit, we would love to help you fix your credit. You know, we love to help people. If you're looking to get ahead and you really want to, you know, make moves, maybe invest in real estate, you want to start a business, you want to do something, this is the time to do it. It's to be proactive. It's the last thing you want to do is do what California's doing, hope to get a handout. You don't want that. You don't want that. Trust me. Because what ultimately happens is, as Mark Zuckerberg famously said, he said that if you're getting something for free, then you're the product, right? You want to be able to have full control. You want to invest. You want to have options. And the only way to really do that is to have access to money and to really have the knowledge and position yourself to where you can really do it without, you know, that type of situation. Also, if you'd like to make money from home, CashNow.Video /money, join the Discord channel and go to the Start Here tab, go through the steps, and I'll catch you guys later.